Welcome to Nanandel Live.
So, what I want to talk about is why is it that we can't talk with each other anymore? Why is it that a phone call is like the weirdest thing in the world? I mean, I still have people in the world that I can have a phone conversation with, luckily. But it's like this ever increasing amount of people who like you have to text each other, or else there's no other possibility. And they'll have just texted you, and you call them, and you're like, pick up the fucking phone so we can sort this out. I can hear your fucking voice. We can understand the context of what we're talking about, and we can move forward. No, you call, it rings 3 times, you know that they fucking hit that decline button, and then all of a sudden they're fucking texting you back like an hour later, or you got to go through this weird, God, I don't even want to get into, like, I almost think of it like flirting. Like, people are just texting each other, and it's this weird like flirting, because it's like you're curating the text so much, and you're putting so much thought into, am I making this a question, or am I going to make this a statement? And so all of that, you're just trying to figure out how to play this weird texting chess instead of just listening to each other. Reading each other's context and emotions, and you can pick shit up like that on the phone. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is wrong with people who don't want to fucking pick up the phone? I don't get it anymore. So if you're one of those folks who is anti picking up the phone, and it seems to be a younger person thing, then I guess the best to you. But I mean, what the fuck am I talking about? It's not like we even talk to each other anymore. At least maybe that's my fucking world. I mean, at this point, like today, I had the funnest lunch that I've had in a long time, because we had this like fucking lunch thing, right? And it was to celebrate somebody's 10 years working at the company I was at. So they bought us all lunch and blah, blah, blah. And every time that we do this lunch, we all have lunch in the same like conference room. And there's this really, really long table that usually fits just about everyone. But during when we have one of these lunches, we have to bring in another table. And usually the joke is like, oh, that's the kiddie table. So where I work, there is this kind of, I'm one of the people who's been working there for a long time. And so there's this kind of weird expectation that like I should be sitting with, closer to the bosses or with the other so-called managers. And so I end up sitting in those types of positions a lot, and sometimes I fuck around and I change it. And today I get into that room, and I'm one of the first persons in that room, and I see the kiddie table, and I go right over to the kiddie table, and I go, and like one other person comes in, and the kiddie table clearly has like some of the customer service representatives who are a little more fun and blah, blah, blah. And on top of it, it's like the opposite end of where my boss is sitting. So like we might be able to have a conversation about something funny and not have to be afraid. And that's what I'm getting at. It's like today, there were moments, of course I'm like, what the fuck, my fucking phone, shut. All right, damn it. So we're in this kiddie table, and it's not a kiddie table, but we got to have a conversation. I got to have a conversation with some of my coworkers that I haven't had a conversation with in a long time, because it's like frowned upon to talk to each other at work, on top of the fact that like everything I think in general is like something that could easily get me fired, because I work in this like ultra liberal CNN I don't know, so many things. And it's like, since when did I become the representation for the right? But apparently at this place where I work, it's so testy, and nobody is an adult there, and we're literally treated like preschoolers, because sometimes they have us fucking cutting cardboard paper, and like on Valentine's Day, we make Valentines for each other, which like, if I could put like something funny on there, and funny meaning as far as like I don't know, like what if I drew you in like like, you know, like spreading your butt cheeks open and showing your asshole and looking to, you know, like you're looking on the other side, like hey, like that would be my like effort into like making a Valentine's Day card for somebody. Like maybe I'll just draw myself, but the point is you can't have fun. There's no fun anymore. Okay, we can't have fun with each other. We can't talk to each other. Everything has to be part of the general narrative, especially it feels like to me it needs to be the CNN narrative. Like, what is CNN saying today about a topic, and whatever CNN's side is, that's the side you're supposed to be on. And I don't give a shit, whatever. CNN can say whatever the fuck they want. But the problem is a lot of what they do ends up meaning that I can't talk or say anything because funny things are offensive. You know what I mean? Some of the most fucked up, hilarious things that some of my friends say are the most racist, fucked up things, you know? And they might say something racist against Latinos. They might say something racist against blacks. It doesn't fucking matter. The point is, funny shit is offensive shit, but you don't get offended, you laugh, right? But when you're so afraid to bring up something because you're going to get persecuted, then you just end up not having fun, right? And so at my work, like, I don't know, maybe I'm too paranoid, maybe I go too far because I've chosen to basically not talk to anyone and be a different person than who I really am. And to me, it makes me suffer. I hate it. It really makes every single day shitty. But I don't know if it makes everybody else suffer. I guess sometimes when I look around, some of the people who I work with may have been working where I'm working at less time than I have, so they don't have that sense. I mean, when I used to be a customer service representative at like Linens and things, you're basically the bottom of the barrel, and you're expected to be a shithead, right? Now, you know, the bar was set really low. We worked with a fucking asshole whose teeth were brown and was like a crystal meth head psycho, like white trash dude. And, you know, if you could do any work as good as him, then you stuck around. Don't even get me started on this other dude, Bernardo, who was out of his mind one day, tried to have a conversation with me about the movie Zodiac before the movie had even come out yet. And it just had no point and got into this weird, you know, when you know somebody's crazy because they'll, you know, that's my cat right now. Bunty, if you want to join the conversation, come over here. So, you know somebody's crazy when they try to, like, tell you something that they think is, like, mind-blowing, but it's not. And all they know how to do is repeat it. They don't know a better way to, like, explain it to you. And so this guy would say some weird shit. He'd be like, yeah, man, you see that movie Zodiac? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, because that's what it's like, man. It's like that, man. There's the lion, and the lion's going to get you. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're saying that shit off of the commercial that you saw? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But Bernardo was crazy. Bernardo was actually out of his mind and probably had serious mental health issues. So anyways, at Linens and things, we had fun. We fucked around. I went to work reeking of liquor and so fucking hungover, and I would smoke a joint in my car before I'd go in, and I would be fucking out of my mind fucked up in there. But did people want my help? Fuck yeah, they did. Everybody came asking for my help. Can you give me that pillow? Do you know where you get this? Do you know where you get that? And yeah, inevitably I always knew. So I ended up being a good employee there, and people liked me and blah, blah, blah. But where I'm working at now, like, we have so much political correctness, and we're so influenced by that it's absolutely dangerous for me to say anything at all. So anyways, the funny part is that, like, I actually felt happier at the end of the day today because at the kiddie table we had somehow a conversation started. At least sometimes I get with people and I don't know how to have a conversation with them because you just don't know what you can really talk about. Plus, like, sometimes you can be so passionate about something that you just come off as crazy when you're talking about something. So it's like, you have to temper yourself, and you can't really dive deep into some topic, because if you do, who knows what you end up doing, and how you end up changing that relationship with whoever it is. Now, in general, I don't have any problem with people when I do that, but I don't know. I'm in a time in my life where I'm afraid to lose my job, and maybe I've always been afraid to lose my job. But at this table, we brought up, easiest thing to talk about is always movies, right? Like we bring up movies, and somehow we started talking about Disney movies, right? And so the thing I always tell people is that my favorite part of Disney movies are the first 20 minutes. Like, as soon as you get to under the sea, that's the best part in the movie, and the world is always so lush and amazing. And then, like, 15-20 minutes later, it's shit world. Everybody's dying, everybody's in, the main character's dad was killed, they are in this bad situation, they have to come back from it. It takes forever, like, and there's always a moment in the shit when they came close to, like, resolving it quickly, Like, it'll be like the shit just started, right? I don't know, like Ariel fucking has legs and can't talk now. And then there's this moment where if she just makes it to this dresser, she's going to be able to, I don't know, say whatever she needs to say to the prince, and then something happens and somebody bumps into her, and then it never happens, and then she gets scooted off over here, and then we're in another half hour of the movie, and then in the end somebody's got to get killed, which became my point, which is fuck Disney movies. And people always bring up Toy Story. What about Toy Story? Yeah, okay. Toy Story was one of the first computer animated movies, right? Yeah, okay, whatever. It's fine, I guess. I don't know. I don't give a shit. Like, to me, what is crazy impressive, okay, and if you're listening to this and haven't seen this, go out and watch Spirited Away, I think the guy's name is Miyazaki or something like that. That guy makes these animated movies, and they're, Japanese-style animations, but they're for kids. And the big difference, and I think this is a massive problem in the world that I always bring up, is that in the Miyazaki movies, there's no bad guy. There's a conflict and there's a problem, but there's no bad guy. There's no designated there, just the bad guy. So if you watch one of the Spirited Away movies, what's crazy about it is, like, this, I'll give you a little bit about the premise. This girl is traveling with her parents. She's unhappy because they're moving. On their drive to wherever the hell they're moving to, they pull over. They find this. I don't know, it almost looks like an amusement park or something. And they end up, like, pulling into what looks to be a restaurant. And in the restaurant, there's, like, nobody there, but the tables are full of food, right? And the little girl, her first instinct is she gets nervous about the place, and she's not hungry, so she doesn't want to eat. And she just is like, okay, well, tells her parents, like, okay, well, when we're ready to go, I'm ready to go. And when she comes back, her parents are pigs, right? And there's this whole thing where, I don't know, I think it was something like they weren't allowed to have eaten the food, and because they ate the food, they were turned into pigs, and now they're property of, the place where they're at, which the place turns out that, like I don't know, like at sunset or something, all of these spirits show up, and it's a bathhouse, right? Which is, I don't know, that's kind of a weird concept. I don't really know what a bathhouse is, although I would love to learn about it. But she's at this, like, bathhouse, right? And everything in the house is spirits. It's like, it's all magical. Well, she wants to get her parents to be turned into humans again. And they go, okay, well, if you want to get the parents to be humans again, you have to go to, I don't know, Boba, and you have to ask her if they can be human. And then she goes to Boba, and I think Boba's like, your parents ate my food. They owe me. If you want to get your parents back, you're gonna have to work for me. And this is where in the Disney movie, Boba would become the abusive grandmother, right? Or abusive stepmother figure, right? But that doesn't happen in this fucking movie. She literally goes, okay, now you got to go see this other person and tell him which job you can, and he's going to tell you which job you can have, right? And he goes to see this other person. This other person's like, yeah, get the fuck out of here. This like guy with like 8 arms and legs. He's like this weird guy that's controlling this furnace, right? And he's sort of like, he's like the operations director of the bathhouse, right? And anyways, something kind of charming happens there. He ends up liking her. He gives her a job. The rest of the movie is literally her maneuvering her new job, where she's learning new skills, she's overcoming her fear of having to live by herself, and she's learning how to get along with other people. By the end of the movie, there's more conflicts, there's more characters, but in the end, there's even one character who at one point you think is going to become the villain of the movie. He's this black sort of like ghost that has this like white mask that has no expression on it. And he's this weird character, and like I think they tell the girl like, ignore him, don't pay attention to him because he's like a nuisance ghost or whatever. And she feels bad for him, so I think she brings him in, and then he turns out to be this like monster that like eats everything, right? Well, if this were a Disney movie, they'd have to go get the lance of fucking Lancelot or whatever the fuck, and they'd have to like drive it through its heart while kissing during the sunset, some bullshit like that, right? No, that's not even what happens. The little girl literally looks at the monster and is like, something's wrong with the monster, we gotta fix the monster. And she fucking figures out how to fix the monster. And it turned out to be this very, I don't know, it's almost like a soul thing where it's like, she almost figured out the psychiatry of the monster and made it a better person. And then the monster wasn't a monster anymore. I mean, it was like this monster that we knew had this tendency to do this thing, but they like figured out as a society how are they going to handle it, which is exactly like what I think we're missing in the world today is we have to stop with making up villains. We have to stop making up villains because shitty things happen in the world. I have had probably hate for people. I know I one time like years ago, there was a person that I saw on my commute all the time. And one time he cut me off. And the guy looked like, what is this motherfucker's name? The BTK killer. He looked like a BTK killer. And if you don't know who the BTK killer is, please go find out and look up his I think his name is Dennis. Dennis Rader. There he is. This motherfucker looks like your principal, okay? Here's a picture of him standing next to somebody who graduated. This guy looks like such a fucking prick, okay? He's such a fucking motherfucker of a guy. He's the guy who has sat across from me on a desk and given me detention or told me about what I'm doing wrong with my life. I mean, he's that guy. I've seen this guy before. And anyways, the guy in the fucking commute that I hated looked like Dennis Rader, and like one time I think like didn't let me in or something, and then I kept seeing this motherfucker, and I would like study him in my back mirror and shit, and I did have contempt for him. But when I think down to it, like, do I want to choke him and look him in the eyes and kill him and say, okay, I'm done with your life? And it's not because of some moral shit. I don't care. People kill each other all the time. But I don't really want to kill him. I'd rather just figure out a new route where I just don't bump into him. I don't have any real anger towards any particular type of person. I think the person that bugs me the most is just a person who's too certain about anything. There's something that bugs me about people who are really certain about things, and they go, no, the way that this works is blah. And they go, it's always like that. Like anybody who says something is always like anything, I mean, I know I do too, but there's just something that bugs me about them, right? And so where I was going with all of this is I had this conversation with these folks at my table, and I got done with it, and I felt better. I felt good. There's something good about just having talked a little bit and having some dialogue, because I feel like in my life at this point, I have no dialogue with anybody. I don't converse. I don't have good conversations with anybody. I listen to goddamn Joe Rogan, and that's my conversation for the day. That gets me by. You know what I mean? And, I love my wife and stuff, but I don't want to talk to her. It's like, ugh. Like, I already know what she's going to say. Like, or at least, like, I get to try out jokes. I get to make people laugh, maybe what I need to do is man up and get on a goddamn stage and write 20 minutes or 10 minutes or something and see if I can't make a few people laugh. So anyways, I wanted to rant about that. That was the main thing I wanted to rant about. And it all wraps around to this general idea that I don't believe anybody is inherently evil. I don't believe evil even exists. I mean, maybe you're fucked up. Maybe you see things. Maybe somebody raped you when you were a little kid. So then now you're horny and you want to rape a little kid too. I mean, I just don't think that just the idea of the evil villain who's like, get the fuck out of here. And the person who acts like the evil villain gets nowhere, okay? The evil villain doesn't get as powerful as he does in the movies because no one likes that, because the evil villain behaves like a douche, okay? So fuck that fucking douche, you know what I mean? What we want in this world is acceptance from each other. We want to be with each other. We want to look at each other's eyes. We want to talk to each other. You don't get very far if you make enemies, and if you behave in such a way where those enemies can call you evil. I think most people who are calling anybody else evil is really just a power play, where they're doing something to either take away someone else's power or to increase their own power. I think that's something that's more... That's something that I do believe people have. I do believe people want power. I don't know what they get out of it. Maybe it's a sense of accomplishment, or it's like your responsibility. But people do have they want to exercise their power. So what I'm saying is, when people are calling anybody else evil and they're doing this, oh, you're evil, that's a bad person. I just think that's somebody else who's trying to make themselves more powerful by labeling somebody else evil or calling attention to their cause. I mean, I'm sure you can come up with a million reasons why I can go fuck myself and I'm full of shit, but for the most part, I think most people are good. I will go into this. There is this thing about discrimination. Ooh, discrimination. So it's like, since when do we have to not discriminate? Like, get the fuck out of here. We have to discriminate. Because shut up, Bunty. I'm discriminating against not evil, but I'm discriminating against what might be dangerous to me. Okay? Now, let me tell you something. If you put me into a, let's say, sort of dangerous area of, let's say, Argentina, where I know how people talk and I know how they sound, and all of a sudden I've got a guy who's being really friendly to me, and I can read it. I can read this guy's history. This guy has grown up having to get what he can, and he's going to fuck me over. Okay. Now I learned how to pick up on that, and now I'm pretty fucking slick at knowing when some dude's gonna fuck me over, at least in certain languages. But I had to be able to discriminate. I had to be able to meet that person. I had to be able to get to know that person, which goes back to the other issue, which is be friends with everybody. Make friends with all cultures. Learn a little bit from every culture. And sometimes cultures can be retarded, but go and learn a little bit from all of them, because you never know where it'll put you. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm glad that I was friends with fucking Koreans. I was friends with black folks. I was friends with Indian folks. And, what can I say? Every time I went into an Indian person's house, it smelled like Indian food. And when I went into a fucking Korean person's house, there's probably some kimchi smell, and there's shoes, and the shoes get put in a certain place. All right, buddy, you're getting kicked out. Get the fuck out of here. Go. Anyways, the point is that you hang out with enough people, you get to know enough types of people, and you learn how to discriminate against them and protect yourself, because that's really all you're doing, is you're just protecting yourself. And there's nothing wrong with eyeing somebody up and down and going, oh shit, this motherfucker is gonna rob me. You know what I mean? He's black. You assumed he's gonna rob you, and maybe he wasn't. But you choose to protect yourself at a certain moment. Now, if you have to have context. Okay? If I'm, again, part of why I bring up the Argentine person who comes up to me and is too nice to me is because I've been there. I know I've had that person push me into a corner and take my shit, or I've had a weird situation where they had an ulterior motive, and I learned how to pick up on that. And so, it's like... if my old lady is in some part of the hood and she walks by, it doesn't matter if the person is black or if the person is anything. If it looks like a shady place, okay, and there's a group of people who look like they don't have a job to be at the next morning, well, you may not want to be around there. You know what I mean? Get the fuck out of there. But those people are not inherently evil. They just are in a certain situation in their life where they have to make the most out of what they can by fucking stealing your wallet, punching you in the face and shit. Give me your wallet. So anyways, moral of the story, don't think people are evil. Maybe there are some evil people. I mean, I love that story about that guy who made a house just to... trap people and be brutal to them. But, something's wrong with their head. If you don't have empathy, you bumped your head, and we just need to pick up on that earlier in life so that we can protect, the rest of us can protect ourselves. Anyways, talking, important. There's no fun in the world. Psych, there is. All right, peace.